I know tonight, obviously, we're going to have an insight into Fundy with yourself. And then we've got, I suppose we refer to them as your ambassadors, but we've got loads of key photographers from all over the world that are going to share their incredible photography with us, but also how they incorporate that in with yourselves and Fundy. So really, really looking forward to this series. And I know that because Ali's confirmed it with me today that we've got Scott Johnson coming back next month. So I love Scott's work, so really excited to have him back with us.
Yeah, we're really excited. Scott's such a wonderful photographer and such a great guy too.
Absolutely. Andrew, what we should do before we do anything else is probably just get a little bit of information about you, really, bud, because obviously I know who you are, but Fundy is your baby as such, but obviously just chatting, you and I getting to know each other, obviously your background obviously is photography as well. So tell us a little bit about you, mate.
Yeah, so I got started in the photography industry in 2001 while I was living in Japan. So after college, I left the United States, lived in the former Soviet Union for a while, lived in Paris for a while, ended up in Japan, where I got married and had kids. And right after I got kids is when I really kind of dove back into photography. In college, just like many people, took the introductory to black and white photography course, dipped the film into the chemicals and developed my own prints and everything. But once I had kids, I got back into photography, and I had a friend who, a high school classmate, was father owned a photography studio. So I started shooting weddings as an assistant photographer in Japan. And so everything was in Japanese. This was all film. And then I kind of grew from there and then got my own contracts to shoot weddings at 3 Iron Chef restaurants in Japan. And that's kind of how I got into the industry. And then how I got into the software side of things is I really hated designing with templates, because it may work for that initial design, but if you wanted to change any photos or move any photos around, you were kind of stuck with some boxes on a page. So we actually created a design patent. So we got our patent a couple years ago, and it kind of helps free the photographer to design whatever they want, and automate a lot of the tedious tasks of making sure photos are lined up, etc.
I remember the day that Mark here discovered Fundy, and in true fashion, I was sat in the old days where we used to share an office. I'd be sat at my desk and my headphones would be on, and I'd be video editing away, and it'd be Jay, check this out, and I remember it, and it was just like, my God, how long do you think it took me to do that? And I said, oh, I don't know. He said, I've just done it in 20 minutes. And, entire wedding album in 20 minutes you went. And I think that was the day that obviously I know that we contacted Kate, who initially we started talking to you guys straight away. And be singing your praises ever since. So great to finally actually have a face to the software and to be talking about it more because it's been featured for such a long time now on the site within, the website design and the album design stuff that we do. So brilliant. Andrew, we won't waste any time. Obviously, we've shared the links for you guys, and I'll share it again. I'm going to give you the screen, pal, so it's going to come over, and I'll let you know when I can see it. So I'm just giving it to you now. You should get a prompt that I've made you the presenter.
Okay, good. And then I am going to, so you should see a mountain on the screen there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll get, just before we dive in, just so everybody knows, today is, as you said, a launch of a series. So today what I'd like to do is go over how valuable the software can be to photographers. So I'm going to show you some examples of what some people are doing in the US and the UK in terms of actual sales, and then the series will continue with our ambassadors like Scott Johnson, showing you how they use the software in their business to create value and to either move beyond that basic I don't know, to move above those six figures a year and how to get past that, or how to shoot fewer weddings and make the same amount of money by being able to sell bigger albums and wall art with your clients.
Brilliant. Absolutely great. Well, I'm going to go quiet, but obviously, just to remind everybody, we do want you to interact with us. So any questions you have for Scott, please use that question panel. For Scott, sorry. Got me thinking of Scott already.
I wish Scott was here.
A month in my head. Sorry, Andrew. Any questions for Andrew, please pop them through. Any techie stuff, Ali will be keeping an eye on the question panel as well. For me.
Can we check and see if Scott's an attendee and then he can just answer the questions?
Yeah. Not there, I'm going to find out why.
Exactly.
So Andrew, I'll chip in with any questions, but it's all over to you, bud.
All right. Okay. So and you can see the blue screen with our logo on there.
Yep, seeing it all clearly, bud.
Okay, great. So first, I'd like to show that Fundy Designer is a suite of products, and we're known most for our album design software, but you can design albums as we see here, and then I'll be going through these features and functions kind of step by step. So once your album design is done, we can also send a link to your clients so they can proof that design online, request changes, get automated emails, etc., with just a few clicks. And then next, we'll show you Gallery Designer, which allows you to design wall art and create that desire for that wall art easily, so you can sell canvases, framed photos, metal prints, acrylic prints, anything that you want to offer to go on the wall for your clients. And next, you see the credit card, which we all love taking the credit cards, is how to do in-person sales, either in person in your studio, but also many of our customers are having great success doing in-person sales over a Skype video chat. And so how people are doing that. So just like you would sit down with your clients in your studio with a projector or a TV, many people are just sharing their screen and doing an in-person sale over Skype and are having just as much success with the actual sales over Skype. Next, we'll show you the one-click skin retouching by Perfectly Clear that retouches skin, brightens eyes, gets rid of under eyes, all with a click. And for me, this is really valuable. When I was working in a studio, we would retouch every photo that went out of our studio in Photoshop, and it was we would use image-nomic portraiture for the skin, and then I would go in manually and remove bags under the eyes, and then remove any pimples or anything like that. Now we're able to do this with one click, just to the album or wall art images, and automate the whole process. Super easy. Lastly is our slideshow module, allows you to do slideshows in person or over Skype to create that extra added emotional impact of photos, album designs, wall art, and then be able to export those as HD slideshows if you want for add-on sales or use in social media, etc. And lastly, our storytelling options, which with Blog Collage and Image Brander, to kind of help keep your brand out in front of your clients all the time. So that's the whole suite, and those are all the things that you can do the suite: album design, album proofing, gallery, client sales, retouching, slideshows, and branded collages and photos. So I would like to encourage all of you to join the Fundy Software official storyteller group. So if you go to Facebook, just search for Fundy Storyteller group and it shows up and you can join. And this is where we really concentrate not on tech issues. We have a full support team for any tech issues. This is where we concentrate on helping each other as photographers to become better designers, and help each other as photographers on how to communicate with our clients to increase our printed album and wall art sales. So to show you a few examples of some of the successes that people are having. So this person here who lives in a small town in the United States did $20,000 just in print sales in 1 week. Really powerful. Here we have someone who assistant lead photographer studio manager did a $5,000 design consultation in just one sitting. And this was the assistant, not the lead photographer. Here we have someone saying that they made an $1,850 sale for a boudoir session. I was just chatting with somebody and they said, oh, well, people in Europe or the UK won't spend that much money. People say the same thing in the United States. You could go to a conference and photographers in the US was, oh, people won't pay that, but they will. And it's just giving them the chance to purchase it and an easy way to show them options. Some more $6,600 upgrade. This one is crazy. This guy had an $11,000 print sale after the wedding. So these are some of the successes, and not every success is this big, but I want to show you really what's possible to do with the software and how this can add value to your bottom line and give you real examples. And if you're not going to hit out of the park like this, if you even an extra £1,000 per client can really make a huge difference in your bottom line at the end of the year. So now let's get in and kind of give you a brief overview of the software itself. So Fundy Designer, it's desktop software, Mac and PC. And step one is just to import your photos. So import your photos into Fundy Designer, and they're available to design albums, design wall art, collages, client sales, etc. So you create one project just like a Lightroom catalog, and then that project, you can do anything you want with it. And here we have, you see we have a full-sized image viewer, so you can review your images. We have star ratings, keywords, filters, just like you would in Lightroom or Photo Mechanic or something like that. So the most popular way to use Fundy Designer is to design albums, and you can design flush mount albums, you can design press books, the cheaper options, and you can even design matted albums. So within Fundy Designer, we have over 140 different album companies. We have some direct companies like Loxley and also Graphy Studio that once the design is done, you can even one click and send your album directly to them without leaving the software. Or for other companies, for example, like Sim Imaging, you can, after design, you can export the fully ready print files and send them directly to Sim. So in addition to the album sizes, we also have a bunch of cover templates for our direct lab. So you don't have to go and download those cover templates. They're preloaded for you. And so you will know all of the sizes of the album, where those cut lines and bleed lines, it's all loaded in there for you so you don't make a mistake yourself. And then a new feature we just introduced is you can favorite your favorite labs and sizes. Since there's 140 labs and over 10,000 different sizes, scrolling through there can be kind of a pain. So we have our new favorites filter that lets you just favorite your favorite sizes so they're always there for you. Now, designing is very easy. Drag and drop photos, go into our layout options, scroll through the layouts and see what you like. Find something you like, choose that, and then that page is done. Super simple. Drag onto the page, go into the layouts, choose your layout, done. And you can access this layout from anywhere within the software, and you can see you can dive kind of deeper into all of the options at any time to choose a layout. And you're never stuck with a layout. You can always move photos between pages. I think we're the only program that lets you move photos between pages this easily. And you can get really fancy by changing aspect ratios on the fly without doing any redesign or searching for different templates. And that is our patent. So this is patented technology. So being able to just select a photo or a group of photos, change the aspect ratio, to change the design makes things super, super easy. But what makes Album Builder really fun is our auto design. So we can put in 80 pages, choose which photos we want to use, and click a button, And that's literally how fast it is. Within 2 seconds, you can get a rough design of your album done. And we use patent pending technology to check the timestamps of your photos and figure out which photos were taken close together, and we put them all on the same page for you. Right? Just to show you again, you type in the number of pages, choose what type of book. You can auto design a signing book if you want. You can choose different aspect ratios, different ways to treat your photos. You can say, I want all of the image to be 3:2 ratioed. And then you can use all of the photos in your project or just some of the photos. Click design, and then the album design is done. And how I like to use that feature is that within a second, I'm able to do a rough draft, and then I spend 5 or 10 minutes kind of moving some photos around, tweaking the design. So it takes me 10 minutes to do an 80-page album. So let's watch this just one more time so you can see it. And so you can see everything got grouped together automatically. And you can see that for the most part, all of the photos that were taken at the same time during the day are placed together on the same pages. But with auto design, we want you guys to have as much control as possible. So even with the auto design, you're able to choose a photo and tag it to be the cover image. Choose a group of photos and tag them to group them together. Choose a photo, make it the panorama. Choose the photo, make it the panorama. And so we're tagging these items so that when we click that auto design button, it's going to know which photo we want it to be the cover and maybe which photo we want to be the main photo on a page, etc. Right? So then when we do the auto design, we can see that those photos that were tagged as panorama, cover photos, etc., are where we wanted them to be. So there's even, we know of at least 2 albums that won silver awards at WPPI, our version of SWPP, that the base design was done with the auto design. So not only is it fast and easy, but it actually gives you award-winning album designs. And then when you're finished, you can export those print-ready files or order direct in one click. And so for everybody in the UK, you can order direct to Loxley, one click, send your album to Loxley to be printed, or directly to Graphy Studio to be printed. And people are using Fundy Designer to obviously design wedding albums, but also to design children albums, boudoir albums, which are hugely popular now in the US, and I believe are gaining a lot of popularity in the UK also, and then baby books, family books, etc. Now, once the design is done, oftentimes we want to get feedback from our clients on the design before we send it off to print. Maybe they want to change some photos, maybe they want to remove or add some photos, remove or add spreads, etc. So you can send a link to your client. When they receive this on their phone or computer, iPad, they have this beautiful flipbook experience, which you can even set to music. And at any time, we can see in the bottom right-hand corner, the orange Approved Design button. They can click Approve this design. It's approved. So the goal is not to request changes. And there are a lot of other companies that do album proofing, but everything's focused on how to let your client make changes. The very first thing we want the client to focus on is approving this album. But at any time, if they do want to request changes, they can click that Request Changes link at the bottom right-hand corner of the proof, and then they can go into the changes area. And within the changes area, they can comment on any photo. We can see that little blue button. They can move it anywhere they want on the page to request any change, right? They can approve that page, or they can choose to remove that page, which is the bottom left. We also allow you to set up an album agreement so that once they go into that comment section, they have to agree to your album contract per se, which is optional. Some people use it, some people don't, but it's a great way to say, hey, you get 10 changes, anything beyond 10 changes cost you extra, or you can make as many changes as you want, but you only get one round of revisions, for example. So there are a lot of options in the proofer that allow you to set up your own workflow and have it work for you. And a new feature we just started implementing reminder emails. So once or twice a month, you can set up so your clients receive a reminder to proof their album, so they don't forget and you don't go 6 months or a year without hearing back from them. Hopefully you can get that album approved right away. And when they do approve the album or request changes, you receive a very easily understood email saying how many comments are on the design and how many spreads might be marked to be removed. So it tells you your client name, the name of the album, and then the number of the comments or spreads that you need to go back and create a new revision. All right, so before I move on to talk about albums and client sales, were there any questions that you wanted to address before we moved on regarding design or proofing?
Yeah, there was a couple there, Andrew, that have come through.
Yeah.
Ali's been answering them away, but I kept a few as sort of the general ones, and sort of
Sure.
One of the questions came in as what file format is being uploaded? Is it just JPEG or RAW? I know Ali's already answered it. But...
Oh, yeah. So file format to import into Fundy Designer needs to be JPEGs. So the key to remember with RAW files is that RAW files are just that they're raw without any settings applied to them. So if you were to apply settings in Lightroom and then imported the RAW files, we wouldn't be able to see those settings because Adobe doesn't let us because they're not very nice. So the workflow would be to the best workflow that our photographers use is you import all of your raw files, do your raw processing, and then choose which photos you want to export for the album design, and then export those as full resolution JPEGs to bring into Fundy Designer.
Perfect, brilliant. I know we haven't got there yet, so we've had a couple of questions already about sort of the retouching tools, but I know we haven't demonstrated those yet, so I'll hang on to those. There's a good chance that you'll cover those.
I will, and you can kind of see on the left-hand side of my screen kind of the order that I'm going to go in. We covered the proofing, and we'll go over some client sales and wall art client sales, and then we'll get to the skin retouching, then the slideshow, and then the storytelling with the blog collage and image brander.
Perfect. I mean, one of the things that was quite amusing to me, you're talking about the process of your client ordering your wedding albums. We actually have a wedding album here that has finally been proofed after 3 years of it being sat.
Yeah, so those reminder emails would have been helpful.
Yeah, it's just, well, we've been sending the emails. It's just I can't believe it's taken so long for them to proof their wedding album. But once, and again, it's easy for me to say, but when we found you guys, and these things weren't there when we first found you. These are the things you've brought on board since. It makes such a difference. And I know we're talking a little bit about business tonight, but one of the practices that we actually not enforce here, but we actually and with the luxury of what you guys now do with your auto designs and so on that we do love, is that we kind of say to our clients now that if you go with our initial design, you can have it at this price within such a period. And we'll actually charge them for their changes. That's just something that we practice here. I'm not saying that's across, but because you do such a good job with the design process, it works so well for us because 9 times out of 10 they're going to go, yeah, we love it, or or we'll say, okay, well look, if you give us 10 changes or 5 changes, we'll do that, and that'll be your album. Because we know how long it takes for people to come back and forth with, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? And it's made a massive difference in our turnaround. So thanks for that.
Yeah, and a lot of people are starting to do so. Scott Johnson, he sends that proof online 24 hours before he has a meeting with his clients, either in person or over Skype, to go through the album together. which has also speeded up the process. So they get the proof for 24 hours and then they hop online and they do any changes together live in person, which takes a little bit of time, but results in bigger sales.
Yeah.
And then also gets that album out of your queue as quickly as possible.
Absolutely.
Because if you're dealing with a client from 3 years ago, you're like, okay, well, let's see, who was this client? Where was it? I forget, where is that file for the design? And it kind of slows down that whole process.
Absolutely. That's it for now. I'm going to hang on to the other ones. So you crack on, pal.
Yeah, so let me, let me go back here. So in this section, we're going to talk a little bit about sales with if you were sitting with your client in person or over Skype. So the first thing that we have built right into Fundy Designer is the ability to do a slideshow with your album. And I do have music set to this. You can't hear the music unless I put I don't know if you can hear that coming through my headphone into the microphone or not. No. So a bunch of music included within Fundy Designer, and then you can do a slideshow of the actual album design, which is huge for getting that emotional impact of your of the album. And I think I'm pretty sure if Ali, if you could hop onto our Vimeo channel and find that example slideshow that we have on Vimeo and just copy and paste that link into the comments or question sections for all the attendees so they can kind of have that to play later.
No problem.
And then next we have a client view window. So let me back up. So when I start this, the client view window allows you to make changes on your regular view where you see all the icons, but all your client sees is the design and the instantaneous changes that you do. So you get to kind of hide the secrets. And so we can see on the left-hand side, if you look, you see that photo move up suddenly. And then here we see removing a photo. And then here we're going to move a photo to the left. So you're able to make changes on your screen and have the clients see a very simple stripped down screen. And so you're able to make those changes live in front of your clients without kind of showing them the secret sauce behind the scenes. And then once that order has been created, you can create a beautiful PDF order form with album design, wall art, prints, etc., totals, and you can change everything to pounds or euros or whatnot. And we'll get back to the client order section a little bit. And then this is really exciting for wall galleries. I feel like there has never been a really simple solution for showing wall art to your clients. And so we take the same patented design technology and now allow you to do wall art. So very easily drag photos up onto the screen, create beautiful designs, and it sizes directly to the wall. Super simple. You have a ton of control, right? It just jumps between sizes from your lab. You can drag to any size. And then if you want to drag another one on, you just match that size and you can just type in the size that you want. And you see those blue lines pop up. We have smart guides. And then once you create a collection that you like, you can save out those collections with your pricing into your own collection so that when you are selling your own wall layouts, everything's priced and ready to go for your clients when you're giving those client presentations. Additionally, you can design what we call composites, and that's where you put multiple photos on one big canvas, and obviously you can change the background colors and do key lines, etc. So a lot of freedom in what you want to design. And in addition to canvases, etc., you can design framed prints with mats. And so we come with a lot of stock frames, or you can download your frame edges and import the frames that you want to use into Fundy Designer. For example, Loxley has all of their frame edges available. You can import those into Fundy Designer and you're ready to go. And so you can design canvas prints, metal prints, framed prints, and more. So it's kind of the sky's the limit in what you want to offer to your clients. As I said, you can use any stock frame from any company in the world. All you need to do is click the Add Frame button and then drag that frame edge in and tell Fundy Designer if it's a 1-inch frame, 2-inch frame, etc. And then in addition to designing the wall art, we also include a bunch of stock rooms in here. So we can see the exact same design for this living room, another living room, dining room, etc. So we have a bunch of stock rooms in there already for you, or your client can even take an iPhone photo of their house, and you just have to know how big something is in their house and then measure a wall or a TV, anything in that room, and then Fundy Designer will know how big to represent that. And then obviously you can show the wall art in person, or you can show it over Skype, etc. And again, create that same invoice form for wall art that you would with albums. And so you're seeing everything's connected together into one cohesive suite. And then just like albums, we can create a slideshow of just wall art for our clients. Or we can create a slideshow that has photos, albums, and wall art all in one slideshow. And then just like albums, you can export it ready to print. The great thing about wall art, because cropping and upsizing, downsizing wall art is a total pain in the neck. So when you export from Fundy Designer, we not only crop your wall art for you, but we use bicubic sharpening, just like Photoshop, to upsize your wall art so it's ready to print. And then in the US right now, we have direct order with one click up and running. We don't have any labs in the UK quite yet with wall art, but we're working on it. So I just wanted to give you a brief overview of what you can do with wall art. Were there any questions, Jay, on wall art and any of those things that we want to cover before we dive into the in-person sales section?
Andrew, I was about to jump in, so great that you prompted me, pal. Somebody's asked if we can just show again with the wall art how you simply change the measurement settings from, say, inches to centimeters. I think you showed it very quickly.
Oh, so for the measurement settings, when you first, and I don't have a preview of that in this presentation, but it's quite simple. When you're choosing your lab to create your wall art, if you choose a lab in the UK, then everything will automatically be in centimeters for you. What I recommend also is we don't have a lot of labs available in the wall art section, but we have a lab that we call generic metric. And so if you choose generic metric, then all of those print, canvas, etc. will all be in centimeters for you automatically. So you don't need to actually change anything. You just choose that generic metric option, and that'll give you all metric sizes.
Brilliant. Well, one of the questions that came up, but you actually had already answered it because you started talking about the fact that you had the Loxley products were already in there, say here in the UK.
Yes.
And you had that in there, but then obviously then you followed it on to show that you could import the other frame styles. Yeah, that was a great. So you've covered all the bases there, which is fantastic. I mean, as you well know, we're Loxley users here, but we've been using this, the wall art sort of preview since you launched it, really, and it has again revolutionized things. Especially, we are big fans of the in-person sale, but it's not always possible in this day and age. So you've just taken it out there.
We've had a number of photographers have very large wall art sales for wedding clients, and they did the presentation over Skype with just a screen share, and they had their clients just send pictures of their homes, and the ability to load those photos up and then design some options. People have had huge sales just over Skype.
And the beauty of it is you've shown, even in tonight's presentation, how quick it is. So when you have the images, you can prep for that Skype sale, within 10 minutes of you actually going live, I guess, if you needed to, if you really needed to. Brilliant. I think that's it for the minute. Oh, I know we talked about the questions come back through again. Oh no, you've just answered that. Sorry, that's fine. Sorry, my fault, Andrew. Missed the beginning. Will you have this save video? Can we share the video? Yes, guys, the video. Sorry if you've missed the beginning of the video. Yes, it'll be on the Photography Academy within a few days, so you'll be able to see it there. I think we're all good for a minute. The other ones were still about the retouching stuff that we're going to get onto.
Okay, great. Yeah, and we're going to get to that. So. In-person sales made easy. In-person sales, we know for every photographer, when they first start doing it, it's quite scary to jump in and do in-person sales. So we want to just make it really easy. And we've basically broken it down into 3 parts. The first part is to easily create a slideshow. Our slideshow takes a few seconds to get going. And let me see. Yep. Okay. So simple slideshow. So first off, you can have a slideshow that starts with just photos, and it's all within one slideshow. It takes just probably 20 seconds to set up a slideshow. You choose what photos, which album, and which wall art you want to do, and you have the photos, and then it can go directly into that album design. And I'm showing you a portrait design just because they're much faster. So you can see the whole slideshow without sitting here for 6 minutes. And it goes directly into the album design. And then again, all within that same slideshow, once the album design is done, I think we're getting to it right here pretty quickly. Goes directly into the wall art designs. So that ability to give album design, wall art, and favorite images all together in one slideshow is really powerful. And to be able to do that without having to learn how to use a new piece of software makes things really easy because it's all built right in. And there's over $1,000 worth of royalty-free music included in the software, so you're up and running with music also. And then just like albums, we can make those changes for our client with album designs or wall art designs right in front of them. So the ability to do a slideshow to make design changes in front of them, as well as the ability to create that order form for your clients. And so obviously this is in dollars. In the settings, you can change things to pounds, and then also have your legal agreement here. We also have the ability to go through photos, and you can see in the top right-hand corner for clients to tell you which photos are their favorites. Also the ability to compare 2 photos. So if they want to compare 2 photos and they can want to choose which one they like over the other. And within an order, we can add an album to that order. We can add any item. So for example, if you like to sell matted print boxes, you can add those. So any item can be added to an order with that add other option. And again, your logo on your invoice with your pricing, etc., and export to a PDF for your client to sign off on. And then the entire back end, you can turn on and turn off different print sizes, only offer the ones you want to offer, and then add your own retail pricing in there. And in addition, you can add your logo, all of your legal requirements on that PDF, choose between US standard letter size or A4 size, and some options to customize that PDF. And then of course, the ability to change your currency symbol, tax, VAT rate, how to name your tax and VAT, and whether it's a tax where it adds on or if it's a VAT where it's included in the price. So all of those options in there, so you can customize it so it works within the legal tax requirements in the UK or Europe or wherever you might be. So that is the overview of the in-person sales portion of the software. Were there any questions there, Jay, before we move on to the retouching, which I know everybody's really excited about?
Just a quick one. I think Ali's just mentioned it, but you talked just, I think Ali's just answered, give the answer, but we'll ask it because it's a good one. You showed the comparison there that you could compare images. Is there a facility to compare more than 2 images?
Not currently. We do have that as a request, and we have that as an option that we're considering adding. We did quite a bit of consulting with people who are experts in in-person sales, and it was recommended at that time that we only give the comparison of 2 because a lot of in-person sales is psychological. So if you're comparing 2, then they can choose which one they like, and it's a yes answer. Oh, I like that one, and it keeps people in yes mode. If you pull up 12 photos and they have to remove the ones they don't like, it gets the client into the mode of saying no, or into a negative mode, which then may continue and hurt the sale.
Yeah.
So that's why we didn't include it. We have still gotten requests for it, so there's a good chance we'll add that later, but this is the direction we took at this point.
Perfect, brilliant. Ali's answered this, but I thought it was a really good question. When we were showing I think it was some of the examples of the wall art, and we could see that there were some images that were like 2 to 3 photos. And the question was this done in Album Designer or was it in Photoshop and saved as one JPEG? Well, I presume it was done in Album Designer, right?
On the wall art, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the wall art, that multiple photos on one canvas, that was all done in the gallery designer section of Fundy Designer.
Yeah, perfect.
So use the currently how far Fundy Designer has gotten. The only time you'll need to use Photoshop is if you need to use the spot healing brush. But anything as far as composites design, Fundy Designer is actually much more powerful than Photoshop and much faster.
One of the things that I was gonna talk to you about tonight, and you might well even touch on it before we finish, because I don't know what else we're going to talk about tonight. But here, especially Mark more than me, Mark always likes to find as many uses out of something as possible. And your album designer, has made so many things so much quicker here, even down to Facebook graphics and things like that. But with the composites and the SARs, so.
Yeah, Fundy Designer, the album design, you can do custom sizes. And so people have designed promo cards, Facebook ads, trade show banners, so many different things with Fundy Designer.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, bud. Really. Somebody's quickly asked before we move on, you touched on about setting the price list. Is that easy to do? I know this is a presentation more than anything, but
yeah. So if you go to fundy.com and you download the trial, if you're in the software itself and you go under the help menu, there's a direct link to both the manuals and the tutorials. And the manuals are written manuals with screenshots, and you can search those, and the tutorials are video tutorials. So depending on how you prefer learning, it's a quick access in there, and you just kind of go to that pricing section or client sales section, and it walks you through it. Most people are able to figure it out without going through the tutorials. It's pretty easy.
Perfect. I'll leave it back to you, mate.
Sure. So the skin retouching section is going to be really, really short because it's so easy. So you're going to want to watch this carefully. So I click a button, it analyzes everything, and then it's retouched. And then I can use the skin slider to adjust the retouching. That's it. We're done. So I got nothing else for you, Jay. So you literally, let's watch that again.
I blinked and I missed it. What was that?
There's the before. So watch her skin and watch her under eyes. Okay, you ready? So we're going to watch her skin and watch her under eyes. Okay, I'm going to click the button. It's going to analyze, so it takes a second, and then boom.
Wow.
And then we're going to adjust the skin to be add a little bit more skin softening. And that's it. So it does the brightness of the eyes, the under eyes, the shadows under the eyes. In addition, it retouches the skin, and it will also whiten the teeth a little bit. And you see it did a little bit to him. And we license Perfectly Clear, and Perfectly Clear, when it auto applies, it does face detection, of course, but it also does age and gender detection. So it will apply slightly differently depending on the age or gender of the person in the photo. If there's more than one person in the photo, it will bias one person over the other. But I want you to look at the brightness of her eyes this time. Just look at her eyes and see how much brighter her eyes get. Isn't that awesome?
It's incredible. I mean, I've been familiar with Perfectly Clear for a while now, but I didn't realize how much it had been integrated in. But even I was about to ask you a question about multiple people and how, and you just answered that before I got there. Ages, different types of skin. Very well. I have you though, and I don't know. Maybe you can answer this. Can you? I think you mentioned earlier there's a few things that you have to do within Photoshop, but are you able to go in? So say those eyes were too white. Can they be adjusted at all?
So this is kind of global coverage. This is like a Perfectly Clear light. So it kind of does everything at once, but we'll be adding some more options down in there later. But to kind of touch on, if there was a large blemish that Perfectly Clear couldn't take care of, you can right click on the thumbnail of this photo, open that up in Photoshop, do anything you want in Photoshop, flatten and save, and it will auto update within Fundy Designer.
Awesome. Absolutely brilliant.
And then, so this is a new feature we just added. So once you've retouched one photo, you can select multiple photos. You see the bottom left, click the sync button, and then just like Lightroom syncing, you can sync that retouching across multiple photos.
Loving that. Loving that. Brilliant.
Right. So it's all about speed. So one of our clients who runs a busy studio, and he has a full-time designer and retoucher. With the introduction of the Perfectly Clear within Fundy Designer, he's saving 2 hours per client of retouching time. So if you shoot 30 weddings a year times 2 hours, that's 60 hours of savings. So that's a full week and a little bit more of time savings. All right, so any questions on the skin retouching? And it's really simple. You click a button, it does everything, you adjust the skin retouching, and then you sync.
I'm just scanning through. I'm at most of it. Most of the panel is wow, amazing, awesome, love it.
Yeah, it's when I show people, it's kind of like it's so good that it kind of looks like I'm lying. Or I'm trying to do like one of those TV commercials, like, and if you buy now, you'll get free skin retouching and a free extra knife set, But it really is as good as it looks. It works as good as you see.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. I've just scanned the questions, but no. Please ask him to clarify. Perfectly Clear is included.
So I will go over that at the end of the webinar in the pricing. So we have a base price for the software that when you purchase it, you get it free forever. You'll get a year or so of free updates. But then we also have what we call our pro enhancements, which is a yearly subscription, and the Perfectly Clear is included in that yearly subscription. When you do purchase the software, you get 3 months free of the Pro Enhancement services. So you get to try out that Perfectly Clear for free for 3 months. So it'll, for example, if you purchase now, it would get you all the way through the end of the year, the busy season. And the reason it's included in the Pro Enhancements is that we license this from Perfectly Clear. So we need to pay them every year for the usage of this. And so that's why it's included in that. And that Pro Enhancements also includes that unlimited online album hosting to proof with your client with those email reminders also.
Perfect. Perfect. Back to you, mate.
But we'll go over that at the end with the pricing section. So the next is the slideshow, and you've seen the slideshows, but I kind of want to show you what you can do. So you can choose your images. So for example, I'm just going to play the favorites, and then you can choose an album, and then you can choose the wall art, and then you hit play, and the slideshow starts. So that slideshow creation is super simple. And then up at the top, you see you can change the name of the slideshow, fonts, background colors, choose your music. You can import audio. You can import your own music as long as it's MP3. And so you have quite a few options there. You can add your logo, etc. Set your timing, all of those choices, and then you hit play. Super simple. And when you're creating your slideshow, you can filter down to any photos you want to use. So for example, maybe I want to do a slideshow of just the album selects, or I want to do a slideshow of just the family photos before I do that album. Our filter menu can import any keyword that you've applied in Lightroom or Photo Mechanic or Bridge and filter in here. So it's a very powerful image selection, sorting, and filtering option that then you can apply in slideshows. All right. And then here's an example of the music. So we have over $1,000 of free music, some of it provided by Triple Scoop Music, some of it we've contracted musicians to create ourselves just for us, that it have looping themes that are great for music photo slideshows because they vary in length depending on the number of pages or images you show. And then additionally, due to music licensing restrictions, you can also export your slideshows as HD slideshows, upload them to Facebook, etc. That export feature is also included in that Pro Enhancements model. And here's an example of exporting that slideshow. You can export as 1080p or any 4K or any size. You can do custom pixel size, which I think is really cool because you could export a slideshow that exactly matched the pixel dimensions of the screen of your client's phone. Maybe they bought the new iPhone 8. It can be those exact pixel dimensions. So while this is playing again, were there any questions on the slideshow and how that worked before we move on to the branding part?
No, I think there hasn't anything specific come through on the slideshow, but just in case, I obviously the thing that'd be worth just saying now though, Andrew, is because we're on a webinar system, sometimes the video options, like you're showing a slideshow there, might actually look a bit jittery. So just to be clear,
exactly.
They're really nice and smooth. We always struggle.
Yeah, and we'll and I think Ali probably already has shared that link to that Vimeo for kind of our example slideshow, so that they can watch at home and see the HD quality of that slideshow and the music, etc. So the last section
quickly asked. Sorry, Andrew. Somebody just quickly asked. I mean, you talked about different video sizes there. Do you have any? Do you have any template? You talked about Facebook. You talked about different sizes. Is there a way to sort of set sort of within? So
the by default we have I think we have 480, 720, 1080p, and 4K as defaults in there to choose, and those are the most common sizes. So if you're uploading to Facebook, 1080p is the best size to upload because they don't do 4K. I believe. I know that YouTube will play 4K, and I think Vimeo will now also, but I'm not sure. But your base sizes are included in there. And so, for example, your 1080p is the size that will play well on most TVs these days.
Perfect, pal. Thank you.
So branding and storytelling, this is kind of the last section. So it's really important that as photographers, we have the ability to brand things how we want to brand them. So we can do it simply with a simple logo on our photo. We can add frames and extra spacing below those frames, color bars. So the ability to create your own branding looks and then batch apply those in Fundy Designer and export these for the web. So these are meant, this module is created for web exports to brand your photos so that when they're out there sharing on the web that people can associate your photos with your brand to bring you back more customers. And then additionally, we have blog collage, which is for creating collages for your blog. This is not for your walls. For your walls, you'd want to use Gallery Designer, but being able to be a storyteller on your blog quickly, I was able to create these 2 collages in a matter of seconds, fully branded, export those for your web, and then for your blog or Facebook, etc., to have those available to storytell online in addition to storytelling in print. So that is the summary of the full suite and how it works and how it works in conjunction. And granted, this was an overview, just like if you had a 1-hour overview of Lightroom, it gives you the key main points. But as I said before, to kind of learn more, you can see our video tutorials, manuals, etc. Any questions on this section before I dive into the pricing?
Nothing's come up specifically, Andrew, not on that bit there.
So here we have, this is our basic pricing structure. So up at the top in that white bar, you can see we have a Light, Pro, and Album version. Light is really for that beginner, someone who's just getting into albums and wall art. It's a very cheap entry point. It allows you to design up to a 30-page album, maximum 10 by 10, or up to a 24 by 36 canvases. You still get all of those client sales tools and slideshow tools that will help you make more money. Hopefully will give you enough money to upgrade to the album or the pro. The pro, you get everything. And the album, you can design any size or length album you want, but the album suite does not have the wall art included in it. And if you were, for example, to buy the album and then later wanted to go to pro, it's just the price difference. So it would just be $100 difference between the two. And when you purchase these, it's a one-time purchase. You get to keep forever, and you get a year or so of free upgrades until maybe the next version is going to come out. And then additionally, when you purchase, you get 3 free months of our Pro enhancements, and that gives you unlimited uploads of album designs. It gives you unlimited retouching and batch syncing using Perfectly Clear, and the ability to export any slideshow that you create with the music that is included in Fundy Designer or your own music that you import. And then if you choose to continue those pro enhancements, then it's $179 a year, and we continue to store all of your unlimited album designs for free, and you get the Perfectly Clear skin retouching exports and slideshow exports.
Brilliant, Bud. And obviously not to forget that I think is it on the top 2 packages that you've given us the deal on?
Correct.
So
yeah, so if you use that special coupon code, you get to save $50 off of the Pro or the album suite.
Using the code Photographer Academy, and we'll send all of that out to you again, the links and everything for that in the follow-up email that you get from us tomorrow. I'm just quickly scanning the rest of the questions, Andrew, but I think we've got most of them covered because you just went through the pricing and purchasing, just double checking everything. Somebody just re-asked for the links, and Ali's just posted those, so we're good. I think we're good, pal.
Awesome. Awesome. And again, if you have any questions, just go to our website and click on the support tab. We have a full-time team in here answering your questions, real people that work here inside the company answering your questions. And in addition, if you're in the software under the help menu, there's a quick link that says contact support where you can contact support also.
Just quickly, it's come through. Is it a one-off fee or is it a yearly charge, Andrew?
So going back to the pricing, to purchase the base package, The desktop software is a one-time fee. There's no yearly charge. And then if you want to have that pro enhancements that gives you the online album proofing, the online galleries to proof your albums with your client, where you can upload unlimited albums, in addition to the skin retouching and the slideshow export, that is a yearly fee to have that add-on feature. But it's not required if you purchase the base software.
This was quite a nice question, and I'll answer it if I may, even though we've obviously got Ali in the wings. It did say, is the support on UK time? Well, obviously you guys are based in America, but for some insane reason, you guys start at stupid o'clock in the morning. Because I've had...
Yeah, we do. We start at stupid o'clock. That's the official time.
I think you guys start something like your time at like, what, 7:30 in the morning or something like that, your time?
Exactly, yeah. We start really early because we're on the West Coast, so we want to hit the East Coast before they're too late in their mornings. And so we're not on UK time, but we use a ticketing system called Zendesk, which is a very, very popular ticketing system worldwide. And we're in the top 3% of speed and quality of answers in the tech industry for Zendesk.
Well, I know before we even started talking to you guys as a company, you know, when we were using you guys, when we first found you, that, you know, the support has been so fast and quick. So, you know, a big shout out for that. But yeah, don't try and talk Mark into getting me to start at 7:30 in the morning, because he would.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
Yeah,
we'll work on that.
Andrew, I like you, but he's just not changed that. There's been loads of thanks and praise already, and an incredible insight into what it does. And even though I've seen it, Mark uses it more than I, even though I've seen it for a long time, I've learned some new stuff tonight. So that's always a good thing. And I've already just thought of some cheats and stuff that I can use for my marketing on it as well. So absolutely brilliant. But a big thank you from me to you for joining us today. And I know Ali's been there in the wings. So a big thank you to her as well for answering all the questions and so on.
All right.
So Andrew, so thank you from me to you. I always find it a little bit ignorant that when I close these webinars that I cut you guys off. It's like a phone call. So
yep.